So Benson Henderson says that BJ Penn is a lightweight GOAT, and it's not even close. And so he's quoted as saying, it's easy, hands down BJ, not even close. You don't even got to say his full name, just one word, BJ, and you know who it is. The greatest lightweight all time, without a doubt, hands down BJ Penn. And then he goes on to say, out of 29-0 Khabib fought, go look at the records of the 29 people he beat, and then go look at the records of guys BJ beat. Go look at the records the guys BJ lost to. Go look at where they fought. And essentially, that's his point.
Well, we've talked about this before. We've had this discussion, and we've said, are these the two best lightweights in the history of the sport? We said, yeah, we do believe that they are.
Yeah.
But again, it's an opinion, and if it's Josh's opinion or my opinion or Benson's opinion, he thinks it's BJ. That's great. Maybe he's right. Yeah. But it's real simple when one guy is what's BJ 16-14 or 16-15 as far as record,
something like that. Yeah.
And one guy's 29-0. Nah,
16-15.
I'm sorry. I'm still going to say that Khabib is the best lightweight that there's ever been. Just is.
It's
16-14.
I think I think what people really get confused on is that BJ didn't do it all in one weight class.
No, he moved
That's
around.
The thing.
A lot of.
Yeah, he moved around.
A lot of weight classes.
He fought a heavyweight. Fought at 185.
He fought a middleweight,
170.
heavyweight. That's right.
He fought everywhere. I mean, like when he fought Machida was 220. Yep. So you can't look at his record and be like, oh yeah, let's compare it to Khabib's, where Khabib fought at 155 pretty much his whole career. I don't know if he had any fights before that were lighter, because he used to be a lot leaner before he got to the UFC. I just look at it that way. Like, I mean, when I look at it, BJ helped change the sport in so many different ways. Yep. He was the first one to really stick it to the UFC, and then he ran off, started his own promotion, and then he came back and made a ton of money. I mean, he did things that just nobody understood. He's like, what are you doing? This is the UFC. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll go and start my own promotion and bring in the best lightweight that everyone's talking about and talking to Origomi, and then I'll smash him in front of everyone in my own promotion. So, like, he did things that
pretty good plan.
Other guys, yeah, it was a brilliant plan, actually. But he did things that other guys wouldn't even have fathomed to do, especially at that time. There was no real money in it, and he was paying for it out of his own pocket to fly Gomi, to Hawaii and to bring him into the promotion and pay him. And I was there when they negotiated the rules. And it was hilarious to watch Gomi say, so we do elbows on the ground or elbows to the top of the head. And BJ was just with a smile on his face, whatever you want. And then, Gomi like head stomps, like whatever you want, just whatever you want. He just kept telling him, whatever you want the rules to be, I'm here. And I was like, oh shit, like this is for real, And I trained with BJ for a long time, at AKA. And, he's a really good friend of mine, but I don't compare the two. If you want to say who the most dominant lightweight was, it was Khabib. But when I look at who really helped shape the sport, BJ. Absolutely.
Where you could say BJ helped shape the lightweight division.
Absolutely.
More than any other fighter. Okay, I'll go with that. Because he did, because at a time when they were trying to get the lightweights, going, and then it didn't work, and they were going to get rid of them, and they did all kinds of things with it. He was one of the reasons they kept it. And it was because of the way he fought and how dominant he could be at times. And he had a huge influence on the UFC itself.
John, tell me this. Outside of Chuck Liddell, because of the mohawk and the tattoos on his head, who was the most famous fighter that the UFC had? Maybe GSP? Like, I'm saying, like, this is before, like, kind of, he was already around when GSP was around. Like, before, like, BJ was there before GSP came.
Yeah.
He was there for years before that. And when he would already fought for the title before GSP
first fight in the UFC was UFC 31.
Yeah. Against Joey Gilbert.
That's right.
Yep. I mean, but my point is that, like, when I'm talking about, like, not even Randy Couture was as big of a star when BJ started getting onto the scene.
Randy was
popular.
Randy was pretty big. because people loved him because he was the old guy.
He was a good guy. He was a good guy though. But I'm saying like when it came down to it, when it came to like star power,
If you're
younger
gonna look the top 3 star powers at the time, Randy would probably have been 4th, but you said him. It would have been Chuck. Chuck was huge, and a lot of it was the Mohawk look and everything, and but it was also the way Chuck fought. Everyone looked at Chuck, and he was just always looking for the knockout stuff. GSP would be the other one. Obviously Anderson Silva was coming in about that time, but no one knew that he had an entire career before that. So people weren't too heady on Anderson at the time. And then BJ, he would have been the guy that you're looking at going, that guy's special. And then that's why when they were putting BJ, GSP, it was just kind of becoming a guy, and they had the BJ versus GSP fight. I think that was UFC 58, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
and I think George got a split decision on him or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got to remember, BJ had already left the UFC when GSP kind of started making his run, and then BJ came back. You know what I mean? And then he made his own run. I
think that wasn't that BJ's first fight back? Was against George?
George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
He demanded it. He said, "No, I'm not coming back unless you give me that fight." Everyone keeps telling me he's the best fighter. Well, I left as the welterweight champ. I'm gonna come back. That's what he said.
Yeah. And he came back as a welterweight. Dummy.
You give me that guy. Yeah, dummy. Yeah. You give me that guy. That's the guy that I want to fight. And he went out and did it, man.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, he started his Rumble on the Rock, and they ended up selling it to Elite XC.
Yep.
And I mean, he made money on it. He did a lot of good things throughout the sport. When I look at the most dominant fighter I think I've ever seen has been Khabib. Like in terms of really never lost a round. Like he just dominated every fighter. And when he walked in, it was just domination.
More 10-8 rounds than any guy ever.
Yeah.
That was like,
I mean, just insane.
Geez.
Yeah, so when you're talking about lightweight, you could say it's Khabib. But when it comes down to who impacted the sport the most,
different.
And in all weight classes, it's BJ Penn.
100% agree. Look it.